Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference 2019 has ended. The week has come to an end and one of the best WWDCs ever has finished. It is time to take a look at what they have given us, at everything that has been announced. It's time to take a look at if my wishes have come true. So in this video, I'm not gonna go through every detail that has been announced in the conference. That would be impossible. They have announced so many things. I'm not gonna do that like I did last year. Instead, what I'm gonna do is check out the blog post that I wrote just before the conference, where I talk about my wishes. They were not predictions, they were actually wishes, what I wanted to see this year. There were some of them at that time I thought they were crazy things that will never happen. Well, they surprised us. So what we're gonna do is go through this list and we're gonna go through one by one and check out what happens. So let's start by the first item, a Declarative UI Framework. Yes, it happened. I have a whole video about it where I discussed my impressions the day of the announcement. I was so excited I couldn't wait for the next day. I immediately went home, started recording, edited and published it. I went to sleep so late, but it was totally worth it because this is the biggest thing since Swift was announced, and it has given me again excitement to do UI development. I have the same feeling and the same sensations when I started actually working on iOS years ago, when UIKit was amazing compared to anything else I worked with before, and now finally Swift UI is here. So I'm not gonna go super in detail about it because, again, there is a whole video about it that I recommend you watch. It's basically a declarative UI system, as I was wishing for, but not only that. It has a great syntax because it uses new Swift features that allow us to make Swift DSLs. And again, there is a video about how Swift UI uses this new Swift feature. But they went the extra mile. It's even crazy because they went the extra mile and they give us design tools, a new kind of interface builder, but that literally touches your code. Your code is the source of truth. It's amazing. It's something that it's a next step on UI development. There are other frameworks there. There are other declarative frameworks. I know people has been quite mad because the way I say it is like, oh, this is not new. And if you are doing multi-platform programming that it's outside of the Apple platforms, obviously this is not for you. But for the Apple community, the Apple developers, this is the next big thing. This is a new era. And it works on all platforms, as I'm gonna discuss a little bit later. So yeah, the first wish, the one that I was never hoping on getting, it was time for it. It's amazing. The second wish was better dynamic heights. Basically, dynamic heights, the work that make it easy to develop complex UIs that adapt with dynamic fonts, with different font sizes, all that stuff. And the answer is a maybe. So there have been improvements on the collection layout, as this session that I recommend you watching because it's pretty cool is talking about, but I haven't tried yet. So we have this new collection view layout. It helps us build this complex UI like the ones on the App Store. Different layouts per section that they go orthogonal to the main vertical scroll. So all of this, it's really nice. It's super awesome that they are giving us because the App Store layout is one of the most interesting layouts out there. I think that it has so many possibilities, and I've been introducing it in the application that I work on because it's super nice. And I even built a whole system on top of collection view, like was kind of like a declarative UI system that I've talked about it before. But I'm super happy they give us this. But the answer is this gonna help us with dynamic heights? I'm not sure. My personal hope is that yes, we are gonna suffer it a little bit like still this year, but the feature is Swift UI, and my hope is that its layout system, the way it computes layouts, it's better than the integration of auto layout with collection views and table views. That's the hope, and that's the feature that I'm waiting to see. So yeah, this one is a maybe. The third point is UIKit on the Mac, and that's definitely a yes. It was rumored, it was marzipan, we already knew how it looked. It's here. The interesting thing is that, well, they changed the name from marzipan to Catalyst, which I guess goes in tandem with the macOS Catalina, But I don't know, I prefer Marzipan. Marzipan was a cool name. To be honest, it was a cool name because I didn't know that it was piece of food or something in English. But overall, this is basically to bring the iPad apps into the Mac. Apple has put a lot of effort on every slide, on every session, saying it's as simple as clicking one button. You can just click a button on Xcode and now your iPad app can run on a Mac. It's gonna integrate with the system, the UI is gonna adapt, and all that stuff. But, and they have made sure to say this every single time, Apple gets us to the Mac, it does the biggest things for us automatically, but it's up to developers, and they encourage that. They tell it so many times that now it's on developers to refine the application to be a great experience on Mac. And I think that talks a lot of what Apple's vision of it is. It's Apple wants to unify the development experience from all the platforms, as SwiftUI also shows us, but they don't want the experience to be sacrificed, and that's something they have been put a lot of effort into. And I think that this should at least calm all these people that it's worried about that the Mac platform is going to be destroyed. I don't think so. If you take a look at the podcast app, for example, that's a fully Catalyst app, and you compare it with the new music app, which is like iTunes with less things, basically. Those two apps are using completely two different technologies, and if you put them side by side, you cannot know the difference. So I'm super happy with this. Between this and SwiftUI, I hope we start seeing more native Mac apps. Otherwise, you're gonna have to buy this new Mac Pro to run a couple of applications. My next wish was to have something like JavaScript core, something that allows us to run Swift code inside our application, so we could allow users to basically write code. It's not there, it has not even mentioned, maybe it's just not there, never gonna happen, we don't know, maybe for the future, but I still think it will be a cool idea to allow this. Same for scripting in Swift. I was hoping that we could actually write Swift in shortcuts, but it doesn't seem possible, it has not been mentioned, I don't think it's there, so well, another thing for next year, I guess. And now for one that actually happened, better shortcuts integration. Shortcuts, again, like Siri for developers, I still find weird that they mix these two things, but okay, it has been really improved for iOS 13. There is a built-in app on the system now, you don't have to download it from the store, which means that it can be much better integrated. And not only that, but also they integrated finally conversational shortcuts. We can actually pass parameters, like the user can change the way the shortcut works with passing parameters. It's amazing. The shortcuts interface to build them has been also improved, it's way better, and you can actually pass parameters and outputs between the shortcuts, which is hopefully going to improve the inter-app communication in iOS. And not only that, but we also got triggers. Here is the full list of triggers thanks to Mac Stories. You can actually specify events of like time events, location events, and some settings like when you are connected to a specific Wi-Fi, stuff like that, to actually trigger a shortcut. It's huge. Super interesting stuff for shortcuts and automation on iOS. CloudKit functions was a big hope for me. Not in terms of using it, maybe I was not gonna use it after all, but it was super interesting for Apple to say, Swift is more than Apple platforms. Swift is on the server and we are putting all our effort. But they haven't talked about Swift outside Apple platforms, which I think that it's something that they should keep repeating constantly, because I'm tired of people relating Swift with Apple. Yes, Apple created it, but Swift is open source and the community is behind it. Swift is already running Linux recently on Windows, you can actually run it on Android. It doesn't have a big support of it because obviously there is not much people behind it, but that's one of the main reasons why I want people to stop thinking that Swift equals Apple. It is not. If we want Swift to grow and dominate the world, we need to start thinking outside the box about these terms. So they didn't give us CloudKit functions, but at least they have improved the integration with core data, with CloudKit. Again, it has nothing to do. At least it's something. I haven't tried. I don't know how much we trust these things because they have tried many times. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it's pretty cool, and hopefully it facilitates integrating iCloud and syncing automatically on applications. Maybe it's time to start taking a look again. Custom watch faces for the watch. I mean, that's a no. Easy. No, they didn't want to give us. They still don't trust developers. Is that they give us some new ones that are pretty nice. I really like this one. I'm super fan of this one, honestly. But that's not it. My hope is that with SwiftUI being released, Now we have a declarative system, which is basically what WatchKit was. Like, we could only use specific elements and we could not change things on the watch imperatively, which is something that everybody wanted. They wanted native UIKit running on the watch to be able to actually do whatever they wanted. So Apple hasn't given us that. What they have done instead is basically SwiftUI runs on the watch. It's a declarative UI, which means that they can optimize the hell out of it if they need to. So maybe next year they actually trust us enough to actually put our code directly on the watch faces. Better deep linking integration was something that it's kind of vague, but I just want improvements in there. Maybe if they actually improve the situation with storyboards and all that stuff, they could integrate it. Like, I think the Google storyboards version that they announced last year. I was hoping that they did something similar to that, improvements, but they have given us Swift UI. This means that maybe the community, maybe us, maybe Apple next year, we should start thinking on bringing routers into native applications. We could maybe start thinking into like taking a look at a React router, for example, and in moving that into Swift UI to actually declare the links and declare the roots of the application and let the framework take care of it. Maybe it's time of that. Maybe it's time of improving this, not in the way I was thinking with storyboard or something like that, but maybe something more mundane. I don't know. Although, who knows? Maybe they could give us like actually a mind mapping tool that you can draw your roots and the system takes care of it. A drawing view was something that I wanted, and it's actually here. It's called PencilKit. It allows you to put this canvas view on your application as a sub view on your hierarchy, and now the user can draw in there and you can take the resulting image from that. I haven't used it a lot, I haven't taken a look at it. Now we can bring the same tools that Apple is using to allow drawing on notes, or when you take a screenshot, we can bring that into the application, which I think it's going to be amazing. I think this is going to improve the situation on the whole ecosystem a lot. Custom view controllers and non-UI extension providers, like this was a way of like we want to interoperate more between applications and with the system and all that stuff. I don't think they have given us, I haven't read anything about it, but maybe these new improvements on Siri shortcuts that they can pass data between them, that should be a replacement for the URL schemes system. So I think that even if we still don't have this, maybe we start thinking about different solutions. So maybe it's okay, fair enough, I don't have it, but I don't need it anymore. The next one is about more control on app version updates. They have done some improvements on the App Store. There is this sessions about it that goes into more details. I haven't watched it yet, but I don't think they have given us more control about the app releases. I don't think that's something we got this year, which is a shame because I think it's small details that will improve our lives a lot. Interestingly, that was for me one of the like low ones on the list. It was pretty obvious that was gonna happen, but again, like from a developer perspective, there were other things that I wish more. Now, from a user perspective, this is awesome. Dark mode on iOS is finally here. It looks beautiful. I know that some people doesn't like it, some people doesn't want dark mode. I use dark mode every time I can. Dark mode, all the things, and it basically works like on macOS. If you are using the asset catalog for colors or images and all that stuff, which you should, it's as simple as checking a new box, setting up the new color, and done. Automatically works for you. You have APIs for tweak it specifically, but in general it should be pretty straightforward to use. Even more, they brought semantic colors to iOS finally. So if you are using do semantic colors, which I guess nobody is using now, but if you use that, you have it completely automatic. That's it. Shortcuts on macOS. It doesn't seem to be there. I don't think they brought it this year. We were expecting that with Catalyst did that, but doesn't seem like it's there. Again, I think everything is there to do it, but it's not public yet, so it's interesting. The next one for macOS is Screentime, and yes, they did this one. Screentime is on the Mac. Now we can check how many time we spent on the device where I spend the most of my time. So yeah, like Screentime on iOS was awesome, but I want Screentime on my Mac. Going through the end of the list, cheaper iCloud, nope. Another year paying like crazy for iCloud, totally worth it, but a little expensive, maybe next year. And finally, performance improvements and bug fix. This is something that wasn't the beginning of the keynote. I think it wasn't the freezer lights, and with so much things they had to say, I think it's super interesting that they actually mentioned this. Every year they put the effort on improvements, on bug fixes. They don't want to waste your hardware, they actually care about it. And that's something that still people doesn't want to trust, doesn't want to believe, because they prefer to think Apple is gonna just wants to steal our money. But it's not true. It's not true. Like, people is using iPhones for years. If you don't break the screens, that's it. But the iPhones run. I was running my 4S for years. The device was perfectly fine, so there is nobody obsoleting your devices. If even more, this year, something that hasn't been talked enough is that they are bringing emojis to all devices. Crazy. And people still think that Apple doesn't. And iOS 13 becomes a huge success, which I guess the new emojis are cool, so everybody should be updating, because that means that we will be able to drop iOS 12 sooner and use SwiftUI sooner. So yeah. That's it for all my wishes. I got like kind of 7.5. It's not bad, but doesn't matter the number of them because SwiftUI is here. You can see how excited I am. Apart from the big announcements, like SwiftUI and UIKit on the Mac, there has been huge improvements on augmented reality, on machine learning, see, as we said. This sign-in with Apple, it's huge because it's like a shot on the face to things like Facebook and all the privacy stuff. So I'm super happy that Apple is finally doing this, and I expect to see this on every application that it's allowing like third-party sign-in. WatchOS 6 looks super cool. iPadOS, I understand the marketing change, but people is thinking that, oh, Apple is releasing a new OS, what's going to impact us? Like, I've seen like Android people like laughing at us because now we need to support different OSs. Like, nope, that's not it. Basically, everything runs iOS except the Mac. Okay, and now the Mac runs UIKit. So everything is pulled together. It's easier than ever. iPadOS is basically the same way that it's called WatchOS. They are different operative systems on the user's point of view, but behind the scenes everything is the same. Everything runs UIKit, which is what we care, and all the rest of frameworks have always been shared between them. So it's nothing has changed. It's just a marketing which is super important, because I think that Apple needs to say the iPad, it's a computer. They have been saying that for years, but they haven't actually show it to us. And in the recent years, they have been adding more features, and this year, like, they actually said, okay, this is a different operative system, which hopefully means that on WWDC they have time for iPad OS that they need to do, you know? So maybe they actually put more effort on the iPad, which is good for everybody. So that's it. That's it, my video about this WWDC 2019. It's been a great year, it's been a great week, and it's the beginning of a new era. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, press that like button and subscribe for more content about this. I'm working on more stuff about Swift and SwiftUI, how that works behind the scenes and all that stuff. So if you like, please subscribe and click the bell. And thank you all for watching. See you next time.